In the middle of a vast, unforgiving ocean, a nuclear-powered giant cuts through the waves, carrying the most lethal machines ever built by man. The flight deck is a chaotic symphony of steel and fire, 1,000 feet of runway that feels like a postage stamp from above. Here, the margin for error is zero. A single mistake doesn't just mean a failed mission, it means a multi-million-dollar disaster in seconds. Meet the F/A-18 Super Hornet, a masterpiece of engineering designed to do the impossible: land on a moving target in a restless sea. But as the sun dips below the horizon, the true test begins. The familiar world of light vanishes, replaced by a world of shadows. Day landings are difficult, but the night transforms the carrier into a ghost ship, invisible to the naked eye from just a few miles. Pilots call it the night trap. It is a psychological battle against vertigo, exhaustion, and the absolute darkness of the open Atlantic. On the deck, the yellow shirts prepare for the final launches. Every hand signal is a life-or-death command in this mechanical ballet. The catapult is armed. Thousands of pounds of pressure are ready to hurl 20 tons of metal into the void of the night. Take a deep breath. You are about to experience the most terrifying 4 seconds in aviation history. The launch into the black begins now. Once clear of the ship, the world disappears. There is no horizon, no stars, only the green glow of the instruments in the cockpit. You are flying at 500 miles per hour, suspended in a black void where the sky and the sea become a single, terrifying entity. Spatial disorientation is your greatest enemy. Your inner ear tells you that you are climbing, but your gauges say you are diving toward the water. Trust the instruments. In the night trap, your eyes will lie to you, but the sensors and the radar are your only path home. Miles away, the carrier is just a tiny blip on the screen. It feels impossible that a ship so large can look so small. The radio crackles. The landing signal officer's voice is steady, a calm thread of sanity in a world that wants to swallow you whole. Fuel is running low. Every minute spent circling in the dark is a minute closer to a cold, watery grave if you cannot find the deck. Somewhere down there, 5,000 people are waiting. But for now, it is just you, the machine, and the infinite hungry darkness of the sea. The weather is closing in. Rain streaks across the canopy, blurring the faint lights of the distant fleet into a smear of cold white. This is the moment of truth. The ship has turned into the wind. It's time to find the needle in the cosmic haystack. You enter the pattern. The carrier is now a flickering line of lights on a vast black canvas, dancing to the rhythm of the waves. The deck is not stable. It heaves up and down, a 50,000-ton steel monster pitching in the swell, waiting to catch or crush you. Lower the gear. Drop the tail hook. These mechanical extensions are your only hope of grabbing the wire and stopping before the deck runs out. Your heart is hammering against your chest. Every muscle is locked in a battle for precision as you fight the wind's invisible hands. The glide slope is a narrow path through the dark. 1 inch too high and you sail over. 1 inch too low and you hit the ramp. Patty, you're low! The LSO's voice cuts through the static. It's a warning from the only person who can see what you cannot. Add power. Not too much, or you'll balloon. The engines roar behind you, a twin-tailed beast responding to your desperate call for lift. The salt spray blurs your vision. You are blind for a second, flying on pure instinct and the ghost of 1,000 training hours. The deck is approaching at a terrifying speed. It looks like a wall of steel rising out of the black, cold Atlantic water. You are in the groove. This is the final 10 seconds of the approach. There is no turning back now. It is all or nothing. Look for the ball. That orange-amber light is your god now. It tells you exactly where you are in the vertical void. If the ball is high, you're safe but missed. If the ball is red, you're dead. Keep it centered. Keep it alive in your vision. The meatball doesn't lie. It is the only honest thing in a night filled with illusions, vertigo, and the terror of the deep. You are closing the gap. The back of the ship is a wall of steel, and the landing wires are invisible, waiting in the dark. Power, power, power! The LSO screams. The deck has risen suddenly, and the sea is trying to pull you into the ramp. This is the bolter fear. Missing the wires means flying back into the night with barely enough fuel to try again. But there is no time for fear. You are a biological computer, reacting to light and sound at the speed of instinct. The deck is right there. You can smell the jet fuel and the sea salt. The trap is set. The final second is here. Don't flare. Don't look at the deck. Fly the ball. Fly the ball all the way to the impact. Trust the system. Braced for the hit. The landing isn't a graceful touch. It is a controlled crash on a moving island in a black abyss. Smash. The jet hits the deck like a falling brick. The suspension screams as it absorbs the kinetic energy of 20 tons of screaming metal. The tailhook bites. It snags the number 3 wire, a thick steel cable that is the only thing standing between you and the dark ocean. Full throttle. You slam the engines to afterburner the moment you touch. If the wire snaps, you need the power to fly again immediately. Your body is thrown forward against the straps, 200 miles per hour to 0 in less than 2 seconds. It's like a controlled car crash. The wire groans. Thousands of pounds of tension are transferred into the carrier's belly, a mechanical monster fighting to keep you on the ship. Silence. Then a jolt. You stop just feet from the edge. The afterburners die down, leaving only the smell of burnt rubber and hot oil. You're back. The night trap has let you go. Your hands are shaking, but you have successfully wrestled a beast onto a moving postage stamp. The grapple is over. The tailhook releases the wire, which snaps back into place like a whip, ready for the next soul in the dark. Yellow shirts swarm the jet. Their glowing wands cut through the smoke, guided by a system that has perfected this chaos over 80 years. You are taxied off the landing area. Behind you, the black abyss waits for the next jet, another pilot, and another desperate dance with gravity. The adrenaline is a flood. Inside the cockpit, the pilot exhales for the first time in 20 minutes, a breath that feels like victory. Outside, the flight deck is a hive of activity. Every second counts as they clear the path for the next aircraft struggling in the dark. Chains are secured. The jet is locked to the deck, anchored to the steel giant that just saved its life from the hungry sea. Beneath the deck, the carrier is a city that never sleeps. Mechanics and engineers work in the glow of fluorescent lights, fixing the weary beasts. This is the unsung heroism of the night trap. For every pilot in the sky, there are 1,000 hands keeping the system from failing. Upstairs, the LSOs debrief. Every landing is analyzed, every mistake noted. Perfection is not an option here. It is the only way to survive. The pilot climbs down. The cold ocean wind hits their face, a reminder that they are still alive, still part of the breathing world. They walk across the deck, a small figure against the massive silhouette of the island tower, heading toward the warmth of the ready room. Another mission. Done. But in the ready room, the next group is already briefing. The cycle of the night trap never truly ends. As long as there is a sea to patrol and a sky to guard, the carriers will wait in the dark and the pilots will fly. Perfection is a thin line. Sometimes the wire snaps. In a heartbeat, the steel lifeline becomes a deadly whip, cutting through everything in its path. Bolter! Bolter! The hook misses all 4 wires. The pilot has only a split second to go full afterburner before the deck disappears. A ramp strike is the ultimate nightmare. Falling short means slamming into the stern, a fireball that consumes man and machine in an instant. Fire on the deck is a living beast. The red shirts charge into the inferno, fighting to save the pilot from the burning fuel. Ejection is a violent escape. 2 rockets fire, launching the seat into the cold night sky while the jet tumbles into the hungry Atlantic. The ocean doesn't give back what it takes. A lost jet sinks into the 2-mile deep abyss, a silent tomb of titanium and lost dreams. On the deck, the silence after a crash is deafening. Every sailor knows the cost of their mission, a debt paid in blood and steel. Engine failure on launch means a cold cat. The jet dribbles off the bow, swallowed by the waves before the pilot can even react. Vertigo can kill as surely as a broken engine. A pilot, confused by the dark, might fly a perfectly good jet straight into the water. These are the scars of the carrier deck. For every successful trap, there is a ghost of a failure that keeps the crew humble. The sun rises on a new day. The night trap is over, but the mission continues, a never-ending cycle of vigilance across the world's oceans. This is the ultimate projection of power. 1,000 feet of American sovereignty, moving through international waters like a floating fortress of freedom. To fly here is to be part of an elite brotherhood, a lineage of warriors who have conquered the dark and the deep for decades. Technology changes, from wooden decks to electromagnetic catapults. But the courage required to land in the night remains the same as always. Every launch is a promise kept. A promise that no matter how dark the night, there is a shield protecting the world from above. The aircraft carrier is more than a ship. It is a testament to human ingenuity and the refusal to be limited by the horizon. Minds that guided them, and the souls who fly them. They are the guardians of the night, the ones who go where others fear to tread, finding home on a moving deck in the dark. Knowledge is power, but experience is life. You have seen the night trap. You have felt the pulse of the great floating giant. As the engines fade into the distance, the ocean remains, silent, waiting, until the next trap is set beyond human knowledge.